Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the public launch of a Force for Nature campaign. This is a big night for the Sonoma Land Trust and all of us who support this terrific organization. I'm Doug McConnell.
And I'm Sierra Lorenz. Now, before we really get started, you might be wondering how we're in here together, unmasked. Well, thanks to some special effects and a little bit of studio magic.
Little magic, little magic.
We're actually separated by a nice little plexiglass
boom, boom,
here.
boom.
So we're taking all of our precautions tonight to make sure that we stay safe, as unfortunately we're not quite out of the woods yet.
Absolutely. So Sierra, I know both of us are trying in whatever ways we possibly can to be a force for nature. You, in part, by leading the Petaluma River Project. That's right. And you, Doug, with your TV show Open Roads and all the work that you've done for the community. Well, you know, I've just been so lucky to get to know the Land Trust and get to know so many people who support it and the great landscapes, and it's just really been wonderful. And to really meet so many others who are truly forces for nature. Each of us doing our part to ensure that the Sonoma County's land and water is protected for future generations, as well as this one.
Nature needs a lot of help right now. That's what you are doing when you volunteer, help spread the word, and you donate to the Sonoma Land Trust. You're protecting nature and ensuring that nature's benefits are shared equitably among all people in our community. Let's start with this video about the campaign.
This is the most consequential decade for our planet. Climate change and consequent wildfires, drought, and floods threaten our homes and our habitats. Sonoma Land Trust is taking bold action through the launch of our Force for Nature campaign. To protect our land and communities, we're committed to building a more climate-resilient Sonoma County and ensuring safe access to nature and an equitable distribution of its benefits to all community members. From the Russian River watershed to the dramatic Sonoma coast to the tidal marshes along the Sonoma Baylands, the land we are conserving has the power to fight climate change. We are a force for nature. Growing awareness that land conservation is a key strategy for addressing the climate crisis has prompted California and the federal government to set a plan to conserve 30% of our lands by 2030. We're leading the way locally with a plan to protect thousands of acres of land over the next decade through innovative nature-based solutions funded by this campaign. Our work will always begin with preserving and adapting the land of Sonoma County, but the urgency of a changing climate has given us the opportunity to expand our view of the benefits of land conservation and increase our impact. With your support, we can activate nature-based solutions that protect and restore the health of our land, water, and communities.
Yo soy una fuerza para la naturaleza.
I am a force for nature.
We are a force for nature.
I'm a force for nature.
We are a force for nature.
Soy una fuerza de naturaleza.
We are a force for nature.
I'm a force for nature.
We are a force for nature.
We are investing in solutions.
Join us and become a force for nature.
Wow. Sonoma County truly is one of the most beautiful and special places on the planet. Can you believe that, well, so many of you get to call this place home and you let people like me sneak in from Marin? It's my pleasure to come to Sonoma every chance I can, and right now to introduce the newish, not exactly new, Executive Director of the Sonoma Land Trust, Eamon O'Byrne. Eamon, it is so great to see you.
Hello, Doug. Great to see you here tonight, and thanks so much for being here.
Oh, listen, my pleasure. I'm happy to be right in this room with you. And, you know, Eamon, I followed your career some over the many years. You began as the Executive Director of the Sonoma Land Trust in the fall of 2019, right? And been hard at work ever since. We'll get to that in a second. But prior to that, among many other things, you spent a long time working for the Nature Conservancy. What were you doing there?
Yes, that's right. I was at the California chapter where I was the director of the California Islands program down in Southern California.
And the islands program, the Santa Cruz Island, the Channel Island, incredible work down there, Eamon, and a great success we could talk about on another program one of these days. But since you've arrived here, you've had a few things to deal with. You've had, forest fires, major fires. You've had the pandemic. You've had to take your staff and work with the staff to work virtually and yet keep the work going, keep everybody safe, do virtual events, all of this work in a difficult time. And yet I think you and the team have just done an extraordinary job doing this. And I have to say, just stepping back, your leadership throughout this period has been extraordinary. We're very, very lucky to have you.
Thank you very much, Doug. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I've been busy, that's for sure. So tonight we are launching our $80 million Force for Nature campaign, our biggest campaign to date and one of the largest mounted by a local land trust in the United States. It's an important campaign for all of us and for our region. And I'm pleased to share the wonderful news that we're already at $59 million raised towards our goal of $80 million. Thanks to so many of you with us here tonight. Thank you all so very much. We are thrilled with the progress, and we know that with your support and with investments from individuals, foundations, and government partners, we can raise the remaining $21 million in the next couple of years. The money we raise will be used to conserve and restore land in ways that protect the natural world we depend on and address climate change. And it will make sure that all people, especially communities of color, low-income communities, and Indigenous people, have access to the land we protect and the programs we create. This next decade is pivotal for the planet, one that will define the future for generations to come. Yes, we know that climate change is a daunting global problem, but it's also one where local solutions can provide tangible victories in protecting human and natural communities. The answers to many of the problems of climate change lie quite literally at our feet, whether it's wildfire, sea level rise and flooding, drought, or the risk of species extinction. Protecting and restoring natural infrastructure of Sonoma County shields our communities from the worst impacts of these catastrophes and fosters climate resiliency. If this past year has taught us anything, it's that nature is not a nice-to-have amenity, but the very foundation of healthy, thriving communities. And yet here too, the pandemic revealed stark inequities that exist in accessing parks and open spaces and the many health, economic, and social benefits they provide. The recent wildfires have also dramatically underlined that the impacts of climate change do not equally fall upon everyone. This is why the Land Trust is committed to embedding equity and inclusion at the heart of its work. We've created an ambitious vision to secure healthy landscapes and a climate-ready Sonoma by the end of the decade. Based on federal and state goals of protecting 30% of undeveloped land by 2030, we're implementing this vision through a detailed, outcome-driven strategic plan. We're investing in 6 natural solutions that are aligned with our mission and that you can learn more about by visiting our special campaign website that we just launched tonight. We will share a link with you at the end of the event and tomorrow in an email. Thank you for supporting the Sonoma Land Trust, and from the bottom of our hearts, thank you for your investments in safeguarding our county's future for generations to come.
Wow, Eamon, such an ambitious plan, but I can't think of a better time for all of us to really get on board and do our part. You know, those 6 solution areas you were talking about, they aren't just going to benefit us humans, right? They'll also benefit wildlife who depend on having habitat to survive. I know the Land Trust has wildlife cameras up on many of the preserves, and so for a little fun, we decided to grab a couple of those shots and shared them with the Sonoma Land Trust social media fans, and asked what kind of captions they might come up with. As you would expect, we got a lot of entries here. So let's pull up our first photo. Ooh, who's that?
Well, we're not sure if it's a male or a female, but it's definitely a mountain lion that we know is to be found up at the trails around the Glen Oaks Preserve. We think she's doing a little hunting for dinner for the family.
Yeah, she looks like she's on the hunt. That's what I would say.
And I definitely wouldn't want to run into those in the wild, I can tell you.
No, me neither. Absolutely not. And I'm also happy to hear that this was a wildlife camera that took this photo and not somebody on their phone that close to a mountain lion.
I think if somebody had taken this live, the shot would be a little blurry.
Most likely, right, with screaming in the background. Awesome. All right, well, let's see what captions folks came up with here. A couple of our favorites. Okay, that meeting could have been an email.
Yeah, that's a sentiment I've experienced many times.
Yeah, I can relate to that one, absolutely. All right, I ain't lying, this is a great place to take a hike.
Oh my God, I don't know whether to groan or to laugh.
All right, that's the dad joke for the evening. Well, we actually might have one more, I think. But. All right, folks. And if you're inspired by that image, please throw your captions in the chat. We'd love to hear what else you have to say. All right, back to the land. Sonoma Land Trust is known for land acquisition and land management projects. And this campaign will continue to protect land and wildlife. Here's John McCall, Director of Acquisitions, to tell us more about how Sonoma Land Trust is protecting land and restoring fire's ecological role on the landscape.
It's important that we safeguard this special place. Sonoma County's landscapes aren't just beautiful to look at, they're the source of clean air and clean water, and the choices we make now will determine how well we can adapt to climate change. Because of climate change, it's important that we think big and act boldly. The U.S. government and California have set a goal of conserving 30% of this nation's lands by 2030. This goal is the result of a growing awareness that land conservation is one of the key strategies to address the twin crises of species extinction and climate change. Sonoma County is one of 36 biodiversity hotspots on this planet. That means there's an abundantly rich variety of plant and animal species here. It also means we're one of the most threatened regions on the planet in terms of species extinction and habitat loss. We aim to protect thousands of acres of high biodiversity lands in the next decade to make the 30 by 30 goal a reality for Sonoma County. Along the way, we'll collaboratively manage these lands and develop new, innovative approaches to make the land more resilient and adaptive to climate change.
Among the reasons that we support Sonoma Land Trust, we value the mission. The staff is wonderful. We've also gotten to know a lot of the board members personally and really value the spirit of contribution. The vision for what land means is important to us, and we feel very aligned with Sonoma Land Trust in that regard. And the educational aspects of it has also been really important. One other thing I would add is that Sonoma Land Trust is a great collaborator. So not only do we want to support Sonoma Land Trust in itself, but we really appreciate the way that Sonoma Land Trust teams up with other wonderful nonprofits.
When people support Sonoma Land Trust, they should know that their gift is what gives us the ability to raise large government grants and investments from private foundations. After the 2017 fires, we organized quickly with our Sonoma Valley partners to form the Wildlands Collaborative. With funding and support from CAL FIRE, we're conducting prescribed burns, reducing fuel loads, undertaking vegetation management, and creating shaded fire breaks on over 18,000 acres of land here in the Sonoma Valley. Fire has always been part of this landscape. Our job is to try to reduce the size and severity of fires by managing the lands in alignment with nature.
Fire management is something we've found out in the last few years that we have to do. With the climate change that we're facing and what have you, we're going to have more fires. Fire is an essential part of life. Some plants in particular need fire in order to reseed and to grow. And we need to manage the undergrowth that causes the whole forest to burn up if it catches on fire. So we need to manage the whole situation carefully. It's not just a matter of preventing fire, but it's recognizing it's a part of life.
As donors and volunteers, we're inspired by the commitment that Sonoma Land Trust has shown to protect and preserve and beautify this area for everyone here.
Concentrating my efforts locally is where I can make a difference. I can go out and help make changes to improve and to restore the land and to get more open space so that which we can all enjoy, that you know, our children and grandchildren will be able to have. And I love what Sonoma Land Trust is doing to maintain and improve these properties and to make them available to more of us.
Wow, those landscapes are just stunning.
Oh, they just pop your eyes out, really, truly.
I know. But you know, they're more than just beautiful. They're actually helping keep our air and water clean and healthy, and providing habitat for wildlife and plants, an essential ingredient for protecting our biodiversity.
Well, you know, that's all exactly true. But, you know, sometimes we can get really bogged down, you know, because these challenges are great, climate change among them, other big challenges. But you know, tonight we are here to celebrate because there are solutions on the table, there are ways we can help, we can really make a difference in our time. And so we wanted to keep it a little bit light here, and we did have a little joking thing going on, so I've got now one from you, for you, Sierra, some more from our social media fans and friends. And so here is the big question. Why is the mushroom always invited to parties?
All right, I don't know that one. Tell me, Doug, why is the mushroom always invited to parties?
This sounds like a Carson routine. Well, what else? He's a fun guy.
Okay. All right, the 5-year-old at home would really.
Yeah, no, my dad jokes are working.
All right, okay, I have got one too.
Okay.
What did the ocean say to the beach?
Ocean say to the beach. Lots of things don't come to mind, but how about you sure look beautiful?
All right, that's a pretty good one. But actually, what the ocean said to the beach was nothing. He just waved.
Okay, there you go. That's good. I'm buying that.
All right. All right, and that is a good segue to our next video that shares what the team at Sonoma Land Trust is doing with water. Here's how and why the campaign is working to protect freshwater tributaries as well as restore marshland at San Pablo Bay.
Sonoma Land Trust is focusing on water, a critical element to life on Earth. Water and land are linked as water flows over and through the landscape, providing habitat and nourishing life. At Sonoma Land Trust, we are using science like computer modeling to understand existing and future flows, and the best ways to protect and restore water resources like streams and wetlands. Our goal is to purchase, restore, and manage essential habitat for fish, birds, and wildlife, with the added benefit of increasing the resilience of our communities to drought, flooding, severe storms, and sea level rise. In the San Pablo Baylands, where we've been working since the 1980s, we have the bold goal of restoring 10,000 acres of tidal marsh wetlands. In the near future, we expect increasingly severe storms and for parts of the landscape to become permanently flooded because of sea level rise. So it's critical that our wetland restoration work is well underway by the end of the decade so that wetlands can establish and keep up with rising seas. Historically, the San Pablo Baylands were a vast, diverse, and interconnected landscape of wetlands. Then, starting in the 1850s, this area was diked and drained for hay cultivation and other land uses. Restoring the diked baylands back to wetlands will provide essential habitat for fish, birds, and wildlife, and will also buffer our communities and infrastructure like highways, railroads, and buildings from flooding and extreme storms caused by climate change. We can consider wetlands themselves to be living infrastructure because they slow down waves, reducing shoreline erosion, and act like sponges by soaking up floodwater.
Sonoma Land Trust's work in the Russian River watershed is focused on 5 key tributaries that are critical to coho salmon. If we create better conditions for the salmon, a keystone species, we'll create better conditions for the whole ecosystem, which includes us. A fundamental component of this work is water, and since land and water are connected, where and how we protect and manage land can influence how much water is in the creek, how clean it is, and whether it stays cool enough for fish. We are using GIS to conduct a spatial analysis based on existing data to identify the most strategic places to protect within the Dutch Bill, Green Valley, Mill, Mark West, and Makama Creek watersheds. Our role, among the many partners working to improve conditions in the Russian River watershed, is to use our traditional tools of buying and managing land and acquiring conservation easements, and also to use innovative approaches like water transactions, such as forbearance agreements, to ensure there is water in key locations at key times for Coho. In order to do this, we will continue partnering with private landowners and business owners to take action that keeps water flowing in our creeks.
Thanks to the 3 rainwater catchment tanks that we installed, we're able to catch and store 100,000 gallons of rainwater, which we can use on the farm instead of pulling that water out of the ground. We wanted to do this project so that we could help the coho salmon and the steelhead in nearby Green Valley Creek. And it helps the farm have more water to use for irrigation and the goats. I'm excited that Sonoma Land Trust is intentionally focusing on water, and that is one of the reasons I'm a volunteer and a donor. Protecting fresh water is going to be one of the defining issues of this century.
And Jennifer Bice couldn't have said that last line better. Water will be the defining issue of this century, and here we are in the midst of a drought, and words are true.
Absolutely, absolutely, Doug. Especially during the drought, that we are experiencing right now. Droughts are hard on all of us, humans, plants, and wildlife alike. Even this little guy. All right, so we've got another wildlife camera shot for you, and again, asked our social media fans for some caption ideas. We'll put those up in just a second. Doug, have you ever encountered one of these?
Those little guys, yes. No, I have encountered, and my dogs especially have over the years encountered more than I care to count.
That's never fun.
But I really love skunks, and we had a little family of skunks living under our front doorstep for a couple of seasons some years ago, and it was fragrant, but it was really great to have them in the hood.
You are a good neighbor, Doug. Better neighbor
than
I probably would be. All right, well, let's see what folks had to say about this photo. I do what I want, no sniffs, ands, or buts about it.
Good.
But of course. And last but not least, talk to the tail.
Talk to the tail. Talk to the tail. I think of all those, that's my favorite one.
Yeah, that's a good one. I like it too. All right. Well, thank goodness for those wildlife cameras keeping us entertained.
And it is so great that we have wildlife cameras out now all over the landscape, because we're really getting a chance to understand the behaviors, their needs, and to really know the other residents of our neighborhood. I love the work that's being done.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's really awesome. Great. All right. Well, Doug, Sonoma County is so amazing for its wildlife and the land around us, but there's something else that makes this a pretty special place to live. And that's its people. Not only is this campaign about the land and the water, it's also about all of us, the people who live on the land and care about it. Our last video for tonight explains how Sonoma Land Trust is addressing diversity and inclusion to ensure everyone can access the outdoors, and all the ways that it helps us stay healthy and happy.
Since 2017, we have been intentionally looking at our work through an equity lens, asking ourselves, who are we protecting land for, and who are we serving? For 5 decades, we have been helping people get out onto the land to learn and connect with nature. Yet historically, many communities have been excluded from these opportunities, conversations, and open spaces. We're working hard to change that. We were one of the first land trusts in the country to create a diversity, equity, and inclusion plan, and we're working hard to engage all communities to create programs that will help people learn about nature, benefit from open space, and take action for conservation. Programs like Bay Camp, our bilingual summer camp where children have a chance to play outside while learning about tidal marsh ecosystems and themselves. Our new bilingual field trip program, SLIME, stands for Students Learning in Marsh Environments. In the pilot year of the program, over 2,000 children participated to learn about building climate resilience, restoration, and conservation. We are even growing our family-based outings with a bilingual series to bring Spanish-speaking families together around food, nature, and the benefits of the outdoors. And the Conservation Council, a youth development program that gets teens onto our preserves doing hands-on conservation science.
Durante mi tiempo en el Consejo de Conservación, yo he aprendido de lugares en el condado de Sonoma que yo puedo visitar con mi familia, igual mucho sobre la naturaleza alrededor de mí. Para mí la naturaleza es un lugar de escape y de curar. Los espacios abiertos y las tierras preservadas son importantes porque ayudan con la salud de la tierra, igual que la salud física y mental de nosotros.
Before my time with the Conservation Council, I didn't know there was this much wilderness in Sonoma County. The Conservation Council helped me connect with the area around me and learn about the different species that existed just miles from my urban apartment building.
There's a growing realization that nature is not a nice to have. The COVID-19 pandemic has shown us how important open space is to our health, especially for those who have limited access. That is why we're focused on 3 park planning efforts throughout the county. We're working with local leaders in Sonoma Valley at the former Sonoma Developmental Center to ensure the open space is preserved by adding the land to adjacent county and state parks. In Santa Rosa, on the Santa Rosa Southeast Greenway, which will ultimately connect Annandale State Park, Spring Lake Regional Park, and Howarth Park to Taylor Mountain Regional Park with a 2-mile-long walking and hiking path which will provide access to hundreds of thousands of residents to get outside.
It is a truly urban area that we feel is suitable for not only Santa Rosans, but people all over the county. But especially, it's nice for people who do live in close quarters, apartments surrounding the area, to have such a greenway in their front yard. One of the things that's so special about the greenway is that children can bike and walk to school, and there are 7 schools within 2 to 3 blocks of the greenway.
And most recently in Petaluma, where we're facilitating an inclusive planning process involving the entire community that will guide the future development of the Petaluma River Park. When diverse groups of local residents come together to plan, open space and parks are created that meet community needs and whose benefits serve all residents, not just those with the most influence. And we're seeing change happen. An empowered and equitable community is emerging.
Wow, people, water, land, climate change. If we've learned anything over the last 14 months, it's how essential these public lands, open lands, parklands of ours are as healing places. They have the power to heal each and every one of us and power to give each and every one of us hope. Now, this is something that we should be experienced and accessible by all of the people throughout the county. These are lands for the people, by the people, all the people. So, and all this work and all these topics would not be possible without an amazing group of volunteers who are working right alongside the staff. Well, I want to recognize the co-chairs couples and the campaign steering committee members. This group right here has been working very hard since 2018 on this effort and are doing a great service for all of us who love Sonoma County. And the Campaign Leadership Council, this great group of community leaders have put their names behind this campaign, as well as their support, to ensure its success. To all of them, thank you, thank you, thank you. And now let's bring Eamon up here for some final words before we say goodnight. Eamon.
Thanks, Doug.
Oh, absolutely.
So tonight I'd like to leave you with one question. How will you be a force for nature? Of course, I have some ideas. First and foremost, get outside and enjoy the beautiful protected lands in Sonoma County. Places like the Jenner Headlands, Tole Regional Park, and so on. Help with the drought. Go easy on the water. And, above all, get ready for fire season. Join your local wildfire efforts to help you prepare and respond. Be sure to visit our campaign website, where you can learn more about the natural solutions we are employing. Sign up for our monthly e-newsletter, and also make a donation. And now, I want to thank our amazing MCs who have ushered us through the event. Thanks, Doug. Thanks, Sierra.
Our pleasure.
It is our pleasure. And now, I know all of us up here are inspired by the Land Trust plans for the future and vision for the next few years, and we hope all of you are too, and you'll get even more involved than you already are.
That's right. Thank you, everyone, for spending this evening with us. I hope you had some fun. We certainly had fun here in studio. And we'll end this evening with a little tune for you, a local rendition of Ruby Ridge by Sonoma's own Bloomfield Bluegrass Band, and with a short message from the band leader, who's also a dear friend and contributor of the Sonoma Land Trust, Patrick Campbell.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, everybody, take
care.
We'll
see you out on the land.
We'll see you on the land. Let's go enjoy it. Let's take care of it. Let's leave it better than we found it. Have a great time. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bloomfield is the finest bluegrass town that nobody has heard of. In the late 1800s, it was the pride of far southwest Sonoma County. But then the railroad passed it by, the river silted in, the shops closed, and Bloomfield traveled down that long, lonesome road. Someone should write a song. But every now and then, the dogs bark and the ranchers prick up their ears. Is that bluegrass we hear? Yep, the Bloomfield Bluegrass Band is back in the saddle. The band is a big fan of Sonoma Land Trust, and we're delighted to be sharing our songs with you.
Shotgun to a deputy. Don't shoot me down. Don't shoot me down. Don't shoot me down. Don't shoot me down. Got a wife and kids on Ruby Ridge. Please don't shoot me down. 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 Got a wife and kids on Ruby Ridge. Please don't shoot me down. 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 Got a wife and kids on Ruby Ridge. Please don't shoot me down. They shot my good dog. They shot my boy. My holy son. My pride and joy. Shot my wife, dead on the floor, holding our baby in the cabin door. Don't shoot me down, don't shoot me down, don't shoot me down, don't shoot me down. Got a wife and kids on Ruby Ridge, please don't shoot me down. Shotgun to a deputy. Don't shoot me down. Don't shoot me down. Don't shoot me down. Don't shoot me down. Got a wife and kids on Ruby Ridge. Please don't shoot me down. 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 Got a wife and kids on Ruby Ridge. Please don't shoot me down. shot my boy, my only son, my pride and joy. They shot my wife, dead on the floor, holding our baby in the cabin door. Don't shoot me down, don't shoot me down, don't shoot me down, don't shoot me down. Got a wife and kids on Ruby Ridge, please don't shoot me down. Tough getting an ocean, and you wanna go. Build you a cabin in Idaho. In Idaho, you'll be living free. Don't sell no shotgun to a deputy. Don't shoot me down, don't shoot me down, don't shoot me down, don't shoot me down. Got a wife and kids on Ruby Ridge. Please don't shoot me down, don't shoot me down, don't shoot me down, don't shoot me down, don't shoot me down.